Welcome, everyone. My name is Shelly, and I will be your host for the session. Today, we have with us Alan Hester, President of Nividous, and a guest speaker, Donald Champagne, President and CEO at Michigan Insurance Group. He also leads strategic consulting. I would like to share a little background of Donald. Don is a respected CEO and national speaker with 25 years of business and consulting experience, specializing in leadership, development, and sales. Driven by a relentless pursuit of excellence, he emphasizes accountability, personal responsibility, and discipline in everything he does. His passion for coaching, peer to peer interactions, and sharing knowledge has led him to develop impactful training, classes, and keynote presentations. A dedicated mentor and industry leader, Don inspires professionals to elevate their skills and achieve greater success. Now I'll pass it over to Alan Yu to get started with our topic.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shaylee. Appreciate the introduction. And Don, thank you for being here with us today. We really appreciate you contributing to the conversation. I think we're going to have an interesting talk about something that there is a lot of talk about, and probably people are trying to figure out what's real, what isn't real, and what it means to them. And hopefully we will help them to get through that.
Yeah, absolutely. First, Alan, thank you for having me. I appreciate out of a casual dinner conversation that led to a deeper discussion that led us to here. So I appreciate it. And Shaylee, thank you for that wonderful introduction as well.
Yeah, you never know what your dinner conversations might lead to.
True, that is true.
You can find tons of statistics out there about agentic AI. This is one of them. By 2028, 33% of enterprise software applications will include agentic AI. And currently, or in 2024, that was less than 1%. So that's obviously a huge leap in a fairly short amount of time. But then the last part of it is really interesting, enabling 15% of day-to-day work decisions to be made autonomously. So, Don, as you read that or as you hear that, what jumps out at you about that statement?
Well, a few things. One, I think when AI first made the mainstream conversations in the business world, there was a lot of fear. And when I talk about technology and AI and the changes it's going to impact, the one thing I try and is allay the fear that it's going to eliminate jobs, because that's not a guarantee. What it is going to do is going to change jobs. And so what we need to figure out from a business perspective is how can we use this technology to meaningfully change the interactions we have with our customer base and allow our working staff to do a better job with managing their time, because they're not using these task-oriented programs that they have to initiate. They'll do them on their own. So that's where we're trying to head. It's a challenging thing to discuss because most people can't wrap their minds around some of these tasks being done without their interaction at all. But that's where we're at right now. We're seeing it on a regular basis. It's just it's not fully integrated. But as the statistics tell you, it will be in 2028. 33% of us are be doing this on a regular basis.
Yeah, one of the other interesting things that there are some statistics out there to confirm this. The companies that are actually doing things with generative AI and agentic AI, they're not getting huge results with it so far. They're seeing that generative AI is delivering up to 41% ROI, but there's a couple big problems that companies are dealing with. One is skills gaps and a lack of training. Plus, they're struggling to scale, right? It's easy to do a small pilot or a POC and get some quick initial wins. But then when it comes time to spread that across the enterprise, that's where they're struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we hear these discussions, and it's critical for us to be in these discussions, but we're not where we want to be yet. When people tell you that they're doing things, quite often they tell you the ideal. This is where we're at. But they're framing it as where they actually want to be. And when you look at the application, you find that they're not they're not actually accomplishing everything they think they want to accomplish. And part of it is, as you said, there's that gap of learning, that knowledge gap that we need to fill. Part of it is technology is still learning how to talk to each other. I mean, at one point in time, it was critical for us to make sure all data points match in order for them to talk together. That's no longer the case, but the translation still isn't perfect. So we're seeing gaps in outcome, but little by little they're improving. And as we see this improvement, what I say about most of this technology is it's at its worst today. It's going to continuously improve. Tomorrow it's going to be a little bit better, and the next day, because it is learning and adaptive technology, and that's important for us to pay attention to. So getting in early and starting to get our teams ready to use this technology is really, really important, so that they gain comfort level and understanding that allows them to use it on a day-to-day basis, because they're going to see some tasks, some repetitive tasks that they're doing that could be eliminated simply by making a change to some of the technology that's available. I feel like the customer-facing tasks are going to be hard to eliminate right away, mostly because I don't know that customers are ready to engage fully with computers to take care of the services they need. But the computer-facing tasks are very easy to start to eliminate, which should allow us to gain a greater amount of time to communicate with our customers, build that trust, and allow us to focus our energies on relationships rather than just transactions. One of the best ways I like to explain the difference between the agentic AI versus generative AI is generative AI is basically an assistant that you can tell it what to do, and it puts out an outcome that you are hoping will be of value to you. Where agentic AI is it's doing the work without you and then showing you the output. And that's really the difference, is your involvement is not as critical with agentic. And that's why it's an important piece, because it will take away some of the tasks that you have to do on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly. Let's move forward here. So we wanted to just take a second to explain the difference between generative versus agentic AI. Don already did this to some extent, but Don, when we were talking last, you used a good analogy for how you think of agentic AI. Do you remember what that was?
Sure,
Can you
absolutely.
share that?
So I love food. I love talking about food. I think everyone can relate to food, so it makes for more meaningful conversations. And I've always said that generative AI is like your sous chef. You say, can you chop this? Can you stir this? Can you hand me the garlic? Can you tweak this recipe so it's a little spicier, less spicier, etc. Whereas agentic AI is, we're having dinner tomorrow. Please have it ready at this time. And then it figures it out based on the materials that you have in your kitchen, the supplies that you have available, etc. So it's a lot more hands-off. Clearly, you trained it in the beginning of what you wanted, but you're not involved anymore. You just hope that your kitchen person is going to get it done. You walk in and your meal's there.
Right. A lot less for human users to figure out on the agentic side, and honestly just less a role for them to play, because the AI is just so much smarter and so much more involved in the process, right? If for those of you, if you think about how you're using ChatGPT today, it's really good at doing a lot of things, but it's really just answering your questions. If you ask it to string a bunch of things together, it still just comes back to you with one response, essentially. And agentic enables a world where you can kind of describe a project that you want completed, and it will go out there and deploy as many agents as are necessary to get that work done. So there are a lot of benefits of this, but there are also a lot of things to be concerned with and a lot of ways that this could go wrong. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But one of the other things I wanted to bring out here is that there's another statistic saying that 8 in 10 companies are using generative AI, according to their own self-reporting. But just as many, so 8 in 10 say they're using it, 8 in 10 also say it's not having any significant bottom line impact. So if that is the case, then why is everyone using it? And I think it's exactly what Don was saying, is that we're just now starting to realize what the benefits of this kind of technology can be, and that we're going to see over time that number is going to start creeping up and then probably leaping up as the technology moves forward and as companies move forward with better ways to implement it as well.
Yeah, right now, I think most of the companies that are engaging in even low-level things like ChatGPT, they're playing with it. They're trying to figure out what it possibly can do. We were early adopters of a lot of these technologies. So, I mean, I used ChatGPT almost when it first came out. So it has at least 3 years of data and communication with me. It works very, very well for what I want to use it for. In fact, it's my search engine before I even jump into any other search engine, simply because it knows what I'm looking for and it will send me the sites that I want. And I don't have all the advertisement and all the other things that might muddy the waters while I'm trying to figure something out. It's just an example of how you use it. But at the end of the day, it's just providing information. I still have to do things with that information. The next leap is, can I get it to take that information and then create the PowerPoint presentation for a presentation I'm going to do? Can it, send this out in email in mass to, my customer base, so that I don't have to figure that piece out? Because we have all these technologies that do all these pieces. They're just not well connected yet. But man, you're going to see in the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be amazing what these things can do. And so we need to be preparing ourselves as business professionals, but also our workforce, to how to navigate and manage this new process, because we don't want it to run amok either. We don't want to just do whatever it wants. We want to make sure that we're getting positive outcomes and measurable outcomes. And the other piece that I worry about is when we gain all this new technology, are we enhancing our skills, or are we dumbing down our workforce? Because if we rely heavily on technology to answer all our questions, we lack the ability and knowledge ourselves. That may not be a long-term benefit from a work standpoint. And that's a piece we have to figure out. How do we balance this technology and using it properly without making it a crutch for people not to actually do their jobs?
Yeah. My wife and I have this conversation all the time because she's a bit of a Luddite. And so she thinks that exactly what you're saying, that if we continue to embrace AI, it's going to grow a generation of idiots, basically, because no one will know how to think for themselves. And I think there's a real danger in that. But I also think that you can use it as an enabler to learning, right? So
absolutely.
I think of, sometimes I watch that show, The Equalizer, with Queen Latifah. It's a remake of an old show, but I'm not talking about the show, just the term equalizer. Sometimes I think of AI as being a great equalizer because it enables you to do things that are naturally outside your own skill and knowledge range, right? You can, with a couple of minutes, get to the point where you're competent in just about any topic or just about anything. Now, that doesn't mean that you're an expert or that you're ever going to be able to compete with someone who's done it their whole life, but it's a way to kind of level the playing field where you can get there, you can learn, and you can do it very quickly.
It's a great tool, and for me, I've always looked at what unique way can I do this. I was working with a company that is based in China. We were doing a presentation with their American counterparts, United States counterparts, and the struggle was some of the communication. I know zero Mandarin, but I did the proposal both in English and Mandarin, and I was able to cross-check to make sure that it was an accurate display of the information by using a third-party source. And so the company people that were bilingual were still thankful because it did keep the process and the flow of the information going faster, because they didn't have to ask for clarification on a regular basis. And so this was done in a very simple way using a tool that is available to everyone. We just need to embrace it. And that's just one example of what I feel is early generative AI type technology. It's not even close to what it possibly could do had I had more technology at my fingertips.
Yeah. So I threw up here another statistic. This one's from Gartner. So this is talking about future facing by 2029, that operational costs can be cut by 30% just because of the ability to resolve 80% of customer service issues autonomously. So, in some ways, referring back to what Don was saying earlier, in some ways, some of these human-facing technologies have a challenge because people don't like them. You call a number and you have to navigate through their system to try to find a person who can really answer your question. Otherwise, you're dealing with canned responses that aren't really doing it for you. But as this technology gets smarter and smarter, we're going to move past things like that so that these kinds of systems will be able to not just answer the questions, but do it in a way that we will find tolerable. So how that's going to happen, I'm not 100% sure. But what I could say today is that there are very human sounding text to speech and also speech to text capabilities that in some cases can even fool you, right? I don't know if you've heard any of those recent technology demo releases where they build into the AI speech mannerisms and speaking patterns where they'll say or things like that, just to fool the user into thinking that it's not AI, but it's really a person.
So we took an early approach to an AI answering program that we use, and it would answer our phones off hours and like maybe during the lunch hour. And we would constantly work with it, and it got better and better until it plateaued. So we thought the technology was really great, but what we recognized is our customer base didn't like engaging with it as much. Even though the technology was strong, it didn't have the impact that we were looking for. And so this is the move. We have to figure out how to get from this point to the next point to get it to be of value. In my opinion, it's going to take away a lot of the repetitive tasks that our customer service business or salespeople are facing. And if we can get rid of the repetitive tasks, we're going to allow these thought workers to slow down a little bit. If they can slow down, their output's going to be better, because at this point, we're asking them to do more and more and more in the same amount of time. If we can take away some of those tasks through a Agentic AI process, they're going to be able to spend more time on the tasks that allow them to bridge the gap in their communications with their customers or problem solve with potential customers or colleagues. And that's where the value is how do we use both these our workforce and Agentic AI to enhance our ability to deliver whatever it is we're trying to deliver.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things, we already talked about this a little bit earlier, but from a company perspective, I think it's important that you spend a significant amount of effort trying to teach your employees how to embrace the technology and how to leverage it to make them better at their jobs. Forget worrying about if AI is going to take over their jobs. Use AI as an assistant to enable you to do things that before you couldn't have even dreamt of doing, right? And doing it faster, doing it more effectively, doing it with more precision. All of those things are enabled for you if you learn how to use this technology, but people aren't going to learn it if we're not encouraging them and letting them know that that's something that's available and accessible for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you really want to know how to protect your job from AI taking over, jump onto ChatGPT or Claude or one of those others and ask it, how do I protect my job from you taking over? And give it some details about your job. If you're not using it a lot, then it probably won't know. It will give you some solid answers of what you can do to ensure that you are viable as AI technology continues to roll out and we see it doing more and more tasks. The other thing that I think is critical is it doesn't hold back. It will tell you the truth. You can ask it flat out, like, what are my blind spots? What am I not missing? And it's kind of a gut punch because I've done it, and it's like, wow, okay, it really nailed it, and it kind of hurt a little bit. But being scorched by AI isn't necessarily a bad thing if it can improve your ability to be successful. And so these are ways that you can use AI now to say, I don't want to be made obsolete because of your technology. How do I stop that? It will give you some answers.
Definitely. Definitely. Now, one of the things, I just looked at our time and I see that we're rapidly running out of time here. And I promised people that we were going to give them some practical insights that could be useful for them as they go forward. And it's hard to do that when you have a mixed audience of people with different levels of experience, but I'm going to try to stick to that promise in this way. I think that there's only so deep that we can go in this kind of setting anyway. So hopefully this has kind of unlocked your understanding of what agentic AI is enough to envision how it could be useful within your organization. And what I will say is that there are a number of things that you can do at the point where you are right now. And let's just assume that you've just learned about this today. You don't know what to do next, but it sounds interesting to you. There are a number of different things. As Don said, you can just ask ChatGPT or Claude or some AI out there for their suggestions of how to proceed. But if you're looking for slightly more guidance than that, within Nividous, we've developed an agentic AI maturity model, which includes a self-assessment. So if that is something that you're interested in leveraging for your company, you can reach out to us and let us know. We'd be happy to share that with you. The other thing that we have that might be useful, if you scratch your head a little bit and say, I hear the words that they're saying, but I don't really understand what it might mean to me. We do have a brief demo of one of the solutions that we have already built in the agentic AI space, and we can walk you through that. There's a lot of marketing out there around agentic AI, and I think once you start looking at it, you will quickly realize that not everyone is really talking about the same thing, even though at a high level it looks like they are. I think you really want to do some homework and figure out what's going to be the best fit for your organization. And I think that going through some kind of self-assessment can help with that. Within Nividous, we also have an AI consulting practice that will help you to specifically not get a big stack of pages report that you can sit on someone's desk and then never do anything with, but to get some actionable insights that you can use to move your company forward. So there's some suggestions from my standpoint. Don, what would you say to the people out there that are just thinking about how do I do something with this? How do I move forward?
So when I'm dealing with a just entry level conversation with businesses that are struggling to figure out how they can even start using it, I just encourage them to get into the entry level of any type of GPT, et cetera. It doesn't matter, and use it on a daily basis, just so you start getting used to that interaction. For people who are a little bit more involved, I start saying track your day-to-day tasks that you see that are repetitive tasks, and then start using AI to determine how you can stop doing those tasks by using AI technology. It will then show you how to do it. It will tell you what technologies are available, like yours, to help take away those tasks and remove them from your day-to-day operations, giving you back some of your time so you can focus your energies elsewhere. So use the technology to figure out how to use a technology instead of trying to just figure it out. But if you can think it, it most likely can do it. And that's the reality of some of this technology that's available.
Yeah, that's great advice. And let me just apologize to everyone. We had some real world use cases where we were going to walk through the ways this technology could be leveraged in your business, and even case studies of some cases where we have already done this. But we're going to have to save that for another time because we value your time and we know that our time is up. Feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to answer whatever questions you might have. So let me thank you again, Don, for joining us, and I'll turn things back over to Shaylee to close us out.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, Alan and Don, for this insightful session. It was a great conversation, and I hope everyone found it valuable. We appreciate you all joining us today. And yeah, that's it. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.